Again, through the center of Lincoln, really through much of this morning, a few thunderstorms kind of trained over that area, and over a short amount of time, we did see over an inch of rain recorded, officially an inch and a tenth, just a little bit to the south and southwest of the center of town, but in nearby Brainerd, over an inch as well, half an inch towards Seward and York, Milford, almost an inch. As you could see, several thunderstorms really track through much of southeast Nebraska, but we'll zoom back over to Hastings and Grand Island. Really, south central Nebraska saw some of those severe thunderstorms start up first early last night. Lexington almost 2/10 of an inch, towards Alma about 1/10 of an inch, towards Riverton. Blue Hill a little bit more than that, about 1/2 an inch. And then in far southeast Nebraska, kind of hit and miss with some of those storms. Pawnee City saw about 1/2 an inch. Falls City didn't report as much, and you can see one of these reports from Beatrice, only about 1/10 of an inch. But I think some areas of town, you can see some brighter greens and blues indicating a little bit more rain, kind of depending on where you were with some of the storms overnight. Beatrice showing roofing camera at South 6th and Perkins Street. Fairly sunny view out there, a few high clouds and some clearing from really the dry slot into this low pressure system spinning and centered over Nebraska. Now, I will point out that with some of these isolated storms, there have been some severe thunderstorms still ongoing, if not a confirmed tornado from the emergency managers in Platte County, just to the north and west of Columbus. This is a fairly rural area at this point, but it appears from that report that a roping tornado kind of coming down and going up and down. So if you're in this area, kind of be careful of this storm that is producing a tornado at this point. This continuing to move to the north at about 15 miles per hour, so pretty slow storm motion on that system. And something we'll keep an eye out here for northeast Nebraska. But as you can see, out ahead of this system, storms all racing to the north and northeast. Meanwhile, the backside of this system kind of wrapping around some rain and some thunderstorms, but all of this kind of moving down towards the south and southeast. This will kind of be the activity that we're watching for as the back of this system kind of moves into eastern Nebraska later this afternoon. And with some of that heating, we could continue to see some isolated storms, especially in northeast Nebraska. If not, maybe a stray cell or two across southeast Nebraska, maybe some borderline severe hail, if not some gusty winds. Of course, some lingering showers still possible in northeast and north central Nebraska through this evening. Then on the backside of the system, that should kind of taper off going into early tomorrow, as does a lot of the cloud cover. But with this, you do see the update we just got from the Storm Prediction Center that kind of trims a little bit more out of southeast Nebraska. Lincoln still included, and much of northeast Nebraska for that marginal threat of severe storms through the rest of this afternoon. Really, the severe threat and the greatest risk will be through Des Moines and portions of central and eastern Iowa throughout this afternoon, with that enhanced risk that we did see through much of our area for the overnight risk into this morning. What's going to be left over is some gusty winds. It depends on what side of the system you're on. You can see we're still on the right side of that system, so still seeing some south to southwest winds here in eastern Nebraska. Meanwhile, on the backside, you can imagine behind that cold front some stronger winds picking up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour out in the Panhandle, bringing some cooler air. Wind gusts just reported out of Imperial at 55 miles per hour. Could see some wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour with a high wind warning in place for a lot of these counties in southwest Nebraska. Meanwhile, back here at home, wind gusts will still be pretty strong and noticeable, but the strongest wind gusts will move into central Nebraska here later tonight around 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and then continue in the morning, especially for northeast Nebraska as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Temperatures at this point, especially in southeast Nebraska, are warming into the lower 70s, 71 in Lincoln, 73 in Beatrice. This should be almost where we get to as that cold front's moving through. It'll cool down gradually overnight into the upper 40s by tomorrow morning. But late showers possible Wednesday into Thursday, that making for more chances for rain through the end of this week. And overall, a cooling trend with temperatures only in the middle 50s by the end of this week before warming back up through the weekend and into early next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much, Jessica.